This is a walnut and curly maple Martha Washington sewing cabinet. They were mass-produced in the 1920s and 30s. Woodworking companies wanted to produce smaller items and save resources due to the recent war and the Great Depression. I saved this sewing box from the trash and restored it. It was pretty broken up and had endured quite a few less than stellar attempts at repairing it. I took one look at the walnut and knew that I wanted to restore it. For the purpose of clarity, I have labeled each section: the left barrel, the right barrel, the main cabinet, and the top. The next few pictures show the condition of the sewing box when I first got it. The right barrel was broken into many pieces. Someone had tried to repair it but had failed. As you can see, the right barrel was separated from the main case and was broken into 8 pieces. I organized the pieces and came up with a plan to reassemble and glue up the broken barrel. The left barrel was structurally sound and just needed a little TLC. I dry fit the barrel together, did some math, and figured that I would need to keep the inside measurement of the barrel to 10.5 inches. And I had to maintain a 10-degree angle on each side so the barrel would mate cleanly to the main case. I cut a piece of scrap melamine to the correct dimensions, aiding this difficult glue-up. I got out clamps, ratchet straps, and started the glue-up. After getting the clamps and straps positioned correctly, I set the barrel aside overnight and let the glue dry. This is what the barrel looked like after removing the clamps and straps. It was a success, and the barrel was strong. I moved on to cleaning up the main case, removing the old finish and preparing it to reattach the right barrel. After lots of scraping and sanding, I finally reattached the barrel to the case with glue and splines. The case and barrels cleaned up very nicely. Next, I moved on to the drawers. The old hide glue had failed, but the dovetail and finger joinery was beautifully done, so I carefully knocked apart the drawers, cleaned them up, glued and reassembled them. This little drawer insert was in particularly poor condition. Loose joints and stained badly, so I took it apart, sanded it, and re-glued it. The legs had numerous coats of polyurethane on them, so I decided to use a chemical stripper to remove it. After much scraping, wire brushing, and picking with a dental pick, they cleaned up very nicely. Next, I had to address the top. The original top was walnut, but had been repaired poorly many times. Someone had cut an inch off of it in a failed attempt to install SAS invisible hinges. I was originally going to add a strip of walnut to the top to make up for the missing 1 inch, but after adding it, the color match was way off, so I decided just to make a new top. I have a love of combining walnut and maple or cherry and maple for my own furniture designs. I had a nice piece of curly maple on hand, so I decided to fabricate a new top. Curly maple has a tendency to chip out when planing, and sure enough, this one did. I mixed up some very fine maple sanding dust with Duco cement and made some putty to fill the chip out and make an invisible repair. After hand sanding the entire piece to 220 grit, it was time to move on to finishing. I knew I wanted a hand-rubbed oil finish, but also wanted a tough, durable finish. Many years ago, I read an article with the great American furniture maker, Sam Maloof, and he described a durable hand-rubbed oil finish that he had come up with. Over the years, I've tweaked Mr. Maloof's finish to my liking. It's easy to make. 3 equal parts of boiled linseed oil, naphtha, and a high-quality polyurethane. I recommend not using one of the cheap polys you find in a big box store, and stick with a quality polyurethane. Mix the 3 ingredients together and apply with a brush or rag, then let sit for 10 to 15 minutes and wipe it off. Let it dry overnight and scuff sand with 320. Then reapply the finish. I keep doing this till the oil stops seeping into the wood and just lays on top. Also, till I am happy with the way it looks. It usually takes 3 to 4 coats. I really love this finish. You can substitute paint thinner or mineral spirits for the naphtha, but I've found that naphtha tends to reduce drying time because it burns the oil off quicker than mineral spirits or paint thinner. The only drawback to using naphtha is that it smells bad, but it's a small price to pay. Look at how that first coat makes the grain of this walnut pop. Those dingy drawers really came up beautifully, as did the 4 legs and the maple top. I picked out and purchased 6 new glass knobs and installed them. I also purchased 4 solid brass tray hinges and mortised them into the top. Then I attached the top to the case. The 2 barrels were originally designed to hold yarn and knitting needles and other sewing supplies when flipped up. It all went together very nicely. My wife loves sewing, and I surprised her with a gift of this sewing box, which she displays next to our bed. I'm very happy to have had the opportunity to save this beautiful old case from the landfill. Thanks for watching.